All right, here we are in the 2025 Toyota 4Runner Limited. This is the brand new 6th generation 4Runner. And I have to say right off the bat, I've never driven a 4Runner in my life. So just know that this video is coming from the perspective of someone who's never driven the beloved 5th generation of the 4Runner that had the 6-cylinder in it. But right off the bat, this is a really cool vehicle. I love the styling of the outside and the inside. Everything in here is set up pretty well. Toyota really did a good job with this 4Runner. Now, when you look at this Limited from the outside, it's pretty tame compared to some of the other variants like the Trailhunter, the TRD Pro, or the TRD Sport. Those have a much more aggressive look and styling to them. This Limited is sort of aimed at people who want that off-road rugged look, and it does have the capability, but maybe you're not doing crazy rock crawling and all that kind of stuff where you don't need a rear locking diff. So when you're getting the non-hybrid 4Runner, the Limited is the top level trim. So this has a turbocharged 2.4 liter 4-cylinder engine that makes 278 horsepower and 317 pound-feet of torque. Then there's the iForce Max, which is the same engine, but just with a hybrid powertrain. And it makes 326 horsepower and 465 pound-feet of torque. But both powertrain options have the same 8-speed transmission. So with this powertrain, you can get the SR5, you can get the TRD Off-Road, you can get the TRD Sport, and then this Limited. And then when you step up into the iForce Max, you can get the TRD Off-Road and then the TRD Pro, Trailhunter, and Platinum variants.
So if you're wondering about pricing on this 4Runner, they start at about $57,000 here in Canada and about $40,000 in the US. That's the SR5 trim. This Limited is about 70 grand Canadian, or about $55,000 in the US.
Now, before we go further into this video, I want to bring up our sponsor, which is Cars.ca. So whether you're hunting for a 5th or 6th generation Toyota 4Runner, or really any make or model, Cars.ca makes it easy to find exactly what you're looking for. Now, most car sites just show listings and throw on a generic price tag, but Cars.ca takes it way further with something called their Cars Confidence Price Badging System. They've got over 20 years of real-world pricing and inventory data, tracking how fast cars sell at different price points by model, trim, and generation. Even when a car changes names, like when the Dodge Grand Caravan became the Chrysler Grand Caravan, they keep all that data linked so the insights stay accurate. And here's the cool part, their price badges don't just compare listings based on current market availability, they actually predict how fast a car is likely to sell. So if you see a badge that says can't miss price, you definitely don't want to sleep on that one. Now, if you live in Canada, finding a new car just got a whole lot easier, so head over to Cars.ca and check it out.
Okay, so here is the Limited trim in Heritage Blue. Because this is a Limited, it is a slightly different front end. You've got kind of like a chrome finish for the top level of the grille here. Otherwise, if you get like the cool TRD versions and stuff, you're gonna get a blacked out grille. Now, one really cool thing I noticed right off the bat was this 4Runner lights up with the lights. That's pretty cool. These lights are super bright. They work really well. And then you do have 2 big fog lights at the front too. As you pull over here, you can see a vent for air to go over your wheels. And then because this is the Limited, the cladding is all painted, whereas with the other kind of off-roady versions, you're gonna get plastic cladding around it. Now, one cool feature, if you do get the TRD Pro, you get amber daytime running lights. They look sick. So with this Limited, we have a Limited badge right there. And then we do have the powered running boards that come out. They're pretty nice. They're not super loud. And then when you shut the door, they go back in. These are running 20-inch wheels, sort of a gray finish. Not too bad looking. We do have keyless entry on the front door, but not on the rears. Then as we look up here, we've got some aluminum silver chrome roof rails. All right, now to the back of the 4Runner. The best feature here is gonna be this rear window and the fact that you can put it down. Very cool. Great if you have dogs, or if you got something really long and you need to poke it through the window a bit. If you're wondering where the rear wiper is, it's just up there at the top and it comes down. As you can see, this one has a towing package. You can tow 6,000 pounds. Now, if you're wondering where your spare tire is, it's right underneath the vehicle. This Limited also has this shiny chrome 4Runner badge at the back. Yeah, honestly, nothing wrong with the design here. I think obviously you can get a much cooler looking version in different trims, but this is a pretty tame variant.
All right, so I threw out a poll on Instagram and YouTube to get your opinion on the design of the 2025 Toyota 4Runner Limited, and the results were kind of shocking, to be honest. 62% approval rating on the design of this 4Runner. Now on Instagram it was like 85, and then on YouTube it was a lot lower. So I'm not sure what was going on there. Maybe some people are downvoting it because there's no more 6-cylinder, or maybe you need to see the TRD Pro. Anyways, I thought that was a little low. I think it's a fantastic looking vehicle, but we just do this for fun here. So always really interesting to see what you think. And if you're wondering what I'm sitting in right now, well, this is the 2026 Honda Passport Trail Sport. So this would compete with the 4Runner, especially now that the Passport has this more rugged look with this Trail Sport package. Anyways, if you want to see this video, it'll be coming out in a couple weeks, so make sure to subscribe. But let's get back to the 4Runner's interior. Okay, so welcome to the Portobello leather interior of the 4Runner Limited. You can get a black interior as well, but this one is a nice brown, very cool textured material up here, and just genuinely very well thought out. Buttons are exactly where they should be. Physical, practical buttons, love that. And then a really nice 14-inch touchscreen here. If you get a more base level trim, you're gonna get an 8-inch screen up here. And then you have a pretty customizable 12.3-inch instrument cluster. And then if you buy a more base level trim, you're gonna get a 7-inch screen up here. All right, so let's quickly just go over this 14-inch screen really fast. There's not a whole lot to it. We do have wireless Apple CarPlay, and you can fill the entire screen, but then you can press this button here and get your main infotainment buttons, which is nice. But there's not like a whole lot you can do with the Toyota infotainment system here. When you click vehicle, there's only trip information or vehicle alerts. Really, you would come in here for your Sirius XM radio probably, and that's kind of how it looks. And then if you're wondering what the 360 camera looks like on this screen, it is pretty good. You can actually do this sort of 3D look here and see all around the car, which is really nice. That's pretty cool. And then there are a bunch of different camera views here. The sensors are going crazy. You can press this auto button so that anytime you come to a slow speed, the camera will pop on. I do find that the camera from the front is a little funny. It's a little distorted looking, but the rear camera is really nice, and this top-down view is good. And then below the screen, we've got all our physical HVAC controls. Very nice. Get the fan speed up there because it is hot out today. Everything works really well. You got dual climate here. We do have ventilated seats in this limited trim and heated seats, 3 increments of both. And we do also have a heated steering wheel button over here. Really cool, tactile, kind of like Bronco style buttons. Really like it. You do have some nice storage up here where you can kind of throw a phone. Then as you can see, I am charging my phone wirelessly over here. And then we do have 2 USB-Cs, some extra storage space, and there's another USB-C up here as well in the screen. Now, if you're looking for your camera button, it is just down here amongst all these sort of empty buttons. I guess if I was looking for a problem with this interior, it would just be seeing all these empty buttons. But if you get other trims, there are buttons in those trims, like a rear locking diff would go right here in the middle. And then we have our auto start stop right there. Then we have a dial down here where we can switch to our high 4 lock and our low 4 lock. Then we do have drive modes here. We've got Eco, Comfort, Normal, Sport S Plus, and Custom. I've been driving this basically in Comfort all week, and it's felt great. When you do throw it into Sport S and Sport S Plus, you kind of can tell that they're pumping in some sound into this vehicle to make it sound more lively, but doesn't sound bad. Then you do have your tow haul button here as well. Really nice cup holders down there. And then we have a center storage here, and it's not the deepest, but we do have a lot of good storage in the door panels, as you can see here. Speaking of the doors, we do have 2 memory seats and then this kind of grippy rubber material, which is very similar to what you see in the Tacoma. And then it's nice that you have a traditional shifter here as well. Then we've got the JBL audio system. It's good. It's nothing like insanely awesome, but it is pretty good. Now, one really cool feature with 4Runners is that you can make the rear window come down, and that button is just right here. And then let's talk about the seats. We do have lumbar support in this Limited, and then we can raise the seat up and we can recline. Pretty comfortable seats. I have enjoyed them throughout the week. I have absolutely no issues with these seats. All right, so here we are in the back of the 4Runner, and we've got a pretty good leg room. My head is kind of close. I'm 5'10", so I am getting a little bit close, but it kind of indents right here, so it's not too bad. The door panels don't have as much storage as the front, but there is a cup holder, and then we've got 2 cup holders here. We've got storage in the back pockets. We got vents back here, 2 USB-Cs, and we have a 120 volt plug. I'm really wishing I brought my battery charger for my cameras because this thing's about to die. The seats feel pretty comfortable.
Do these seats recline? They sure do. You can recline about this far back. Now, the third row is very tight. It's basically for emergencies only and for little kids. Adults are not going to want to sit back there. And you can only get the third row if you buy the standard iForce. The iForce Max unfortunately has a giant battery, and so they couldn't fit the third row in that one. So if you do put the third row up, just know that your tonneau cover's got to stay at home. But yeah, there's not much room you've got when you put that third row up. Definitely not a lot of space, but you're probably not going to be using that too much. Doing that with a camera in your hand is kind of hard. If you do sit back there though, you do have a cup holder, and then this is how much space you've got in your 4Runner. And we do have another plug back here, very handy. And then you have some netting for storage, and I guess you could technically use this as storage as well.
And we're taking off in the 4Runner Limited. This has been a lovely week driving this 4Runner. Very good first experience. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I've never driven a 4Runner in my life, which may put some of you off this review. You'd be like, I can't trust this guy, doesn't know what he's talking about. I definitely don't consider myself up there with some of the more expert technical people here on YouTube. My whole thing is just, I like to talk about cars, and I really like to make cinematic videos with cars. You can definitely find more technical videos like Driving Sports TV. That guy takes everything off-road. He's an awesome reviewer. I bought my Mazda 3 primarily because of his videos. He made the Mazda 3 look so cool, and I was like, I'm sold. So if you want to see this Limited off-road, he has a pretty cool video on it. So, this 2.4 liter 4-cylinder that's turbocharged, does the power feel adequate? I would say the power feels adequate, especially in Sport S. It's definitely more aggressive, shifts a bit better. Now, I would like to try out the iForce Max just to see if it makes this a better experience. But really, this has been pretty good. This is probably going to be more reliable as well for people that are really worried about reliability, and if you're buying this vehicle to have it for a long period of time, you may just want to get the iForce. Now, throughout the week, I've driven this mostly in comfort, and it takes the bumps quite well. This does have adaptive variable suspension, and when you throw it into Sport S Plus, the vehicle does stiffen up a bit. And it does get a little bit louder in here too. There is definitely some sound enhancement going on. Okay, so here is the difference between Comfort and Sport S. So this is how it sounds in Comfort. And then when you throw this into Sport S Plus, this is how it sounds. It's a little bit more deep, a little more throaty. And yeah, when you're in Sport S Plus, it is definitely just much more aggressive. Okay, so let's see what the 0 to 60 time here is on this 4Runner Limited. Sport S Plus, a little bit of brake boosting going on here. Let's go. Boom, 7.9 seconds. So, what is the difference between Sport S Plus and Sport S? So this was something I actually wanted to know, because I'm like, why would they just combine the two? Well, Sport S actually affects the engine only and the shift points. It makes it a more engaging driving experience. Once you throw it into Sport S Plus, that affects the steering, it makes it tighter, and that affects your suspension to improve handling. And so in case you're wondering, why do we have two sport driving modes? That's why. You can throw it into Sport S just for the engine, and then if you want it to really tighten up, you can throw it into Sport S Plus. This 4Runner has the adaptive variable suspension. The drive modes do make a difference when it comes to the suspension. The shock absorbers, both the front and the rear, do have built-in actuators, and they can control the damping force. Now, if you've driven the new Tacoma, you'll know the turning radius isn't so good. turning radius in this is pretty spot on. So I saw on the build sheet that this specific Limited has active sound cancellation. I do have to say it's very quiet in here for a box on wheels, basically. These aren't always the most aerodynamic vehicles, but the wind noise isn't bad. It's pretty quiet in here. Visibility is good. You've got safety systems, so blind spots aren't really an issue in here. The C-pillar's a little big, but it's not that bad. So one interesting thing that I noticed when I first got into this vehicle was that the vehicle will automatically brake for you when there's someone in front of you and you're getting kind of close to them. If you're not on the gas, it will start to slow the vehicle down. Kind of a nice feature. I thought it was regen braking on me at first. All right, so I have the adaptive cruise control on right now, and it is keeping me in the lane, doing a really, really good job. As you can see here, obviously we're just going straight, but I have tried it through some turns, and it did a really good job. Okay, so I've got a dirt road up ahead. Let's see how loud it gets in the cabin here. So here we go. It's pretty good. It's not that loud at all. All right, so let's talk about maybe one thing that's not so great. Fuel economy, 14.4 liters per 100 kilometers. Not so great for a 4-cylinder, I would say, but this is a big almost 5,000 pound vehicle. Now, if you're wondering about tank size, it is 72 liters or about 19 gallons. So let's talk about some of the off-roading bits here. We have, as you can see, high forelock and low forelock. Basically, both high forelock and low forelock have the A-Track system, which uses wheel braking on individual wheels to shift power. The Limited and the Platinum trims do not have a rear locker, likely so they don't eat into Land Cruiser sales, but this will definitely do a good job for most off-road situations. It's just if you're doing some really intense stuff, then you're going to want to get a 4Runner with a rear locker. This Limited is more for someone that is primarily driving it on the street and then occasionally doing some off-roading, probably camping. Unfortunately, here in London, Ontario, I just haven't been able to find any off-roading spots. So as I mentioned in a few of my other videos, my wife and I just bought a house and we've been buying a lot of stuff off Facebook Marketplace. And so this week we picked up a sectional, and it almost fit the entire thing in this 4Runner. It's just because the cargo space is kind of narrow that we couldn't fit the whole thing in. I think if that load floor was just a little bit lower, then it would have been perfectly fine. Took us 2 trips to take it, but I wasn't really expecting a sectional to fit. Hey, I have a Mazda 3 and there's no way that sectional would have fit in that thing. So pretty happy to have the 4Runner this week. I don't know, I love this thing. I would love to have one of these in the future. Really cool. I really hope that these 2.4 liters turn out to be reliable. We just don't know much about them yet. Well, the sun is setting now and my week with the 4Runner is just about up. I'm gonna miss this guy. If you guys want to see another trim of the 4Runner, just let me know. I really want to find somewhere where I can off-road these vehicles, but it's just not much around here. And I think that goes for a lot of people, unless you live out in like Utah, Nevada, Arizona, those kind of areas where you can really unlock the full potential of these vehicles. Here in flat southwestern Ontario, can't do a whole lot. Before we go here, a big shout out to Cars.ca for sponsoring this video. Really appreciate that they are sponsoring a little channel like this. Really helps this channel grow and helps me put more time into the videos, because this is not my full-time job. My full-time job throughout the week, I run a video production company and I make like video marketing ads and stuff. I do this primarily on the weekend or when I have some free time. This is basically a side hustle right now, but I would love for it to turn into something more. Anyways, thanks for all of your support and for subscribing. We're like at 15,000 subscribers now. That's super exciting. Next week we have a Mazda CX-50 hybrid. So if that interests you, make sure to hit that subscribe button and we'll see you soon.